There is something so exciting about a brand new year. As I flip open a brand new calendar, I'm feeling so inspired and hopeful in this new year. 2021 was one of the best, most beautiful years of my life, while also being the most challenging. I talked a little bit about the challenges I've faced postpartum in 2021 in my most recent video, but this has been a year of growth for me. I have learned many lessons and cried many tears along the way, but the Lord has sustained me. Today I wanted to talk a bit about my 2022 intentions. One thing I enjoy doing every year is picking out a word for the year. So picking a word to define what you want your year to be. The first person that I knew to do this was my mother. She would always pick out a word for the year. I know a lot of people do this, but I just really enjoy the concept of picking out a word to describe what you want your year to be like. And so this year, my word that I chose for 2022 is delight. And my scripture verse that goes along with this word is Psalms 37:4. That verse says, "Delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart." I want to delight in the Lord, delight in my husband and children, and just delight in life in general. I want to take joy in these simple, everyday moments. I want to soak up all the time that I can and bottle up all the precious moments spent with my family. I spent a lot of time in 2021 wishing time away. The season that I was in was hard, and I found myself trying to push quickly through the time instead of delighting in it. And it absolutely grieves my heart to realize all of the time that was lost by me wishing the time away. When you're in the middle of a really hard season, it can sometimes feel like that season is going to last forever. And so we just try to get through it instead of realizing all the precious time that is just slipping right through our fingers. And I think it's okay to have a hard time, and I think it's okay to struggle, but we don't want to just completely be self-absorbed in our struggle that we miss out on the precious moments that we could be having. Now, it's easier said than done to not take anything for granted, especially in today's world where everyone is always pushing for the next thing. Like, why can't we just enjoy the time that we're in? We're always looking for the next moment, the next thing on our calendar, the next thing written down in our planner, the next event, and we just take things for granted. We take for granted the fact that time is always going to be there. I take for granted the fact that I have 2 babies. I'm like, oh, I have 2 babies. They're going to be babies for a long time. They're really not. My oldest is turning into a full-blown toddler, and I mourn times where I have let myself just become so absorbed in my struggle that I forgot that time is a thief and that it goes by so quickly. I want to learn to delight in the moments in 2022, and I want to delight in the Lord. I want to develop a closer walk with Him daily. This is something I've struggled with, is to have a daily walk with Christ, just among the busyness of the day and balancing everything between being a mom of 2 very little children and a wife, and then all of my responsibilities around the house and different things, my small business that I run, and all of these things. I have struggled to maintain a daily close walk with the Lord, and I can definitely tell. I can always tell that I struggle more mentally and emotionally when I neglect devotions and prayer time. And so I want to develop a very disciplined habit of spending at least a little bit of time in the Word and in prayer every day. And obviously, as a mom of very little kids, it's not going to look like a 2 or 3 hour Bible time, not even an hour Bible time. I'm going to have to kind of roll with the punches, but I want to spend at least a little bit of quiet time in God's Word and in prayer every single day and not neglect it the way that I have. Part of the way that I'm hoping to accomplish this is by getting up earlier and getting into a better daily routine. I feel like by getting up earlier and having some time before the kids wake up, I will be able to get my devotions done first thing, because if I put it off, it will not get done. So that is one of my intentions for this year, is to develop a closer daily walk with the Lord. I also have a couple of new homemaking skills that I would like to learn this year. I have narrowed it down to 2 because I know myself, and I know that I will write out a very, very long list of skills that I want to learn, and I will get busy, or I won't want to spend the money on them, or I just will never get them done. So I narrowed it down to 2, and both of which I have wanted to do for a very, very long time. The first one is that I want to learn to sew clothes. I've dabbled with the sewing machine here and there, but I've never actually sewn clothes, except for one time when I was a teenager. My mom and I together made me a dress, but I've never really on my own attempted clothes. I've made pot holders and I've made a few other things, but this year I really want to learn to sew clothes. And like I said, I've wanted to do this for years. The sewing machine that I have is one of my mom's that I've been borrowing, and I have plenty of ideas and I have fabric that I've been piling up, but I've just struggled to delegate the time within my day. And so as part of this intention of mine, I want to make sure that I delegate myself some time to develop these new skills, because I tend to just work on homemaking stuff and taking care of the kids and cooking and all that kind of thing. And then at the end of the day, I just want to scroll on my phone because I don't want to do anything. And so I really want to delegate some time to work on this hobby skill that I want to learn. So my goal in January is to make one upcycled outfit. And I actually have an idea what I'm going to do. I have a very large I don't think it's linen. It's some kind of material. That sounds so stupid. It's some kind of material that's kind of similar to linen. It kind of looks like linen, but it's very much too big for me, and I'm going to turn it into a skirt with a matching vest. And I have an idea how I'm going to do this. I'm not going to use a pattern, so we will see how it goes. But my goal for January is to complete one sewing project, and even if it's a disaster, I want to set myself a goal of one sewing project a month to try to develop this skill. Eventually, I would like to be able to make clothing from the ground up, but for January, I'm starting small with an upcycled project. I really love the idea of tailor-made clothing, and I love the idea of making clothes for myself and also for my children. So that's something that I really, really, really want to buckle down and learn this year. If I don't learn any new skills other than that one, I will be extremely happy. The second skill that I want to learn this year is how to can food. My grandmother used to can every summer before she got dementia. Her and my grandfather had a garden every year, and she would spend so much time canning green beans and canning tomatoes. She would can soup, she would can potatoes, she canned beets, she canned jalapenos, she made all kinds of stuff. And I just really, really wish that I could have her teach me. My mom actually had my grandmother give us a canning lesson once, and at the time I was a teenager. I did not appreciate the art of canning food, and we canned beets all day long, and I am not a fan of beets. I wasn't then and I'm not now, but because I was such a moody teenager, I really didn't pay that much attention. And like I said, my grandmother did end up with dementia, and so she completely stopped cooking, canning, all of that kind of thing. And she actually passed away in October of 2020. And I cannot tell you what I would give to get another canning lesson from her. And I really believe that it's because of her that I want to learn to can so much, because I always remember her canning. She had a garden and she would can so much stuff, and we would look in her cabinets and she would have rows and rows of canning jars full of food that she'd put up. Her soup that she would can, I loved it. It had a really interesting vinegary taste. It was like a chicken and vegetable soup. And I think about it all the time, and I really wish that I had a recipe for that, because I would love to have that again. So I really think that it's because of her that I want to can so much, because of that memory. And I also just love seeing the jars of fresh vegetables that have been canned and stored away, rows of jars of homemade soup, tiny little jars of jelly. It's just such a traditional skill, and I would just love to be able to master it. So I really want to, when summer hits and there are so many fresh vegetables and fresh produce, I want to try my hand at canning. I know a little bit about it through some research that I've done about canning on your stovetop in a pot versus canning in a pressure canner. My mom has a pressure canner. She also has a pot. So I'm going to see if she can help me, because my mom does have a little bit of experience with canning. So I'm going to see if she can help me try to figure it out. I think the main thing that I would love to learn to can is soup. I know there are very specific things that you can and cannot can when it comes to soup, but I would really love to be able to can like a basic chicken and vegetable soup like my grandmother used to, and just put a bunch of jars in the pantry for wintertime to just pull out in a pinch. I just think that would be such a nice thing. And like I said, it is such a traditional skill. So I do plan to try my hand at that when summer gets here and when fresh veggies are readily available. I am looking forward to 2022 with a heart full of excitement and hope. And my prayer for you, my dear viewers, is that you will prosper in 2022. No matter what you may be leaving behind in 2021, I hope that this new year brings you hope, brings you blessings, peace, and joy. And I hope that you all have a happy new year and a beautiful January.